and she studied, one second. Yeah. And she studied and practiced alchemy in her early childhood. And she's done she's doing holistic parenting, which I believe is very important in today's lifestyle for our children. And she's a life coach and enterprising homemaker, trainer, and counselor. Wow, what not? That's great. So I'll be presenting you our host, Prashanti, and over to you, Prashanti.
Thank you, Arwa, for that lovely introduction. And so once again, I welcome everyone over here to today's Friday's session, which is about health, fitness, and spirituality. And today we are fortunate to have a highly experienced speaker with a versatile background who has a very rich profile. And I'll just go through her profile. Yes, it is Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya ji. She is an educationist, an administrator, and a social worker. She's a classical singer and a dancer too. Wow. And Dr. Bhattacharya is working in the education sector since 20 years. She's the principal of Manav Rachna International School, and she has also headed GD Goenka Public School, Army Public School, and Jewish Girls School as principal. She has an experience in cross-cultural, multidisciplinary environment across regional boundaries. She is a prolific thinker, a dynamic educationist, a transformational life coach, and an able administrator. Dr. Suchitra believes in leading a happy team with the positive thought of just being beside the students as a guide to innovative mind and getting the creativity from the children. She has immense faith on the young generation of today. Dr. Suchitra is a keen writer and writes in many educational magazines and is a motivational speaker. Her social footprints are regularly seen through her articles, audio, voice in many national and international platforms. She is a winner of many awards for her contribution in education field. Dr. Suchitra is attached to many education forums as a speaker and advisor. She is also honorary member of many NGOs and is an active social worker. Wow, such a rich profile. And it's truly an honor and a privilege to welcome Dr. Suchitra. Very warm welcome to Brainciti, ma'am. And looking forward for an insightful session. Thank you so much. And over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar, and from India, good evening, because it's evening here, a late evening. From New Delhi, thank you so much, Prashanti, who got given all such wonderful sentences for me, all that really, I am so grateful. First of all, I was a little surprised, when I chose that health, spirituality, and fitness. I'll be very honest. Spirituality is something which is vast for me, and I am I'm a novice there. I don't know much about it. But when I talk of health and fitness, I believe that yes, as an educationist, I have a huge responsibility. And before I go into it, I would like to thank Brainciti for giving me such an opportunity. And I think I was just going through the slides that were shown before. And the best thing I liked is that 5 a.m. ETalks, you start the day so well. I mean, I think that is how each one of us need to contribute, There are various discussions going on climate change, the sustainability development issues. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that we need to take care of ourselves first. Like in the aircraft, they say before you put on the oxygen mask, you have to ensure that you put yours first, and then only you help the neighbor or whoever is sitting next to you. That is very important. And that is why I felt, though I'm doctor by my education, not by profession, but I consider myself I'm privileged that I have such a huge responsibility for the future generation. And therefore, I am deep into ensuring that all my students and all my staff, 3,000 children and so many parents and so many teachers, I want to ensure that their health is absolutely fine. And therefore, I said, I felt that I could be part of this discussion. To talk about today, I have chosen a topic which is very close to my heart. Being in the education sector for such a long duration, always adolescence is something which has really attracted me the most, because I have seen parents with the tiny tots. It's so easy to bring up and mold their personalities, put a timetable or a routine in their life. Till young age of around 10, 12 is fine. After that, the problem starts. There's a difference created between the parents and the children, and therefore school plays an important role. And I, as a head of the institution, I want to ensure that each parent understand the role of parenting, because this is a very, very, I would say, adolescence is a crucial period for developing and maintaining the social, emotional habits, which is very important for mental well-being. This includes adopting healthy sleep, the patterns or the sleeping patterns, taking regular exercises, which is very, very important, developing coping, which we are going to discuss further, problem solving, the interpersonal skills to manage the emotion, because this is a time we see that children become introvert gradually, and we will talk of mental health of the adolescents today, because it is really complicated. And it is not only that, it is not only the parents who are troubled to ensure that there is the child is becoming very violent these days. The child does not listen to us as he used to be. So what's wrong happening? We fail to understand that as adolescent children, which we can say from 10 to 19, is a unique and formative time. Multiple physical and emotional social changes, including the exposure to poverty, if there is something around, including exposure to abuse and violence, can make the adolescents vulnerable to mental health problems. Promoting psychological well-being and protecting adolescents from adverse experiences and risk factors is very, very important, because the impact all these impact their potentials to thrive, and the critical and well-being of the adolescents is something which we need to worry. Why? Because if it is to such an extent, we see so many adolescent children committing suicide. So who's responsible? Is it the child? Is it the adolescent age that is responsible? No. I consider that it is our responsibility. It is a responsibility of the parent. It is a responsibility of the school, the teachers, the friends, the environment. We can't take away our responsibility by saying that the child has become aggressive, the child doesn't listen, he's taken into addictions, and therefore that does not come on a single day. See, it is a gradual process, and this process has to be identified by you and me, by the grown-ups. Only then we can stop, or else once things goes out of our hand, it becomes very difficult, and we cannot let that happen. So let us take the onus, and I'm very glad that such discussions take place. Ever since pandemic has started, every evening we are somewhere or the other discussing such important facts, such important issues are being dealt with. And I think the way we are reaching out to the mass, definitely it will have an after effect, and that too, it's going to be a good after effect, because initially it was not possible. Like, I don't know how many of us are from Delhi. It's all across. We have webinars all across. Global webinars are being conducted, and that's the best thing that can happen. We reach out to so many. So once again, thanks you, Brainciti. You're doing an excellent job by such topics. You've not left anything, be it happiness, be it old age, be it education, entrepreneurship, everything you're dealing with. So that's something very great. So coming back to my topic of discussion, and that is mental health, and that too with adolescents, I would like to say that childhood and adolescence are basically critical stages of life for mental health. This is a time when, as I said, the rapid growth and development takes place in the brain. Yeah? Children and adolescents acquire cognitive and socio-emotional skills that shape the future mental health and are very important for assuming the adult role. I would say that if there is some antisocial in the society, he was not born antisocial, you see. He was never wanted, or his parents never wanted him to be an antisocial. He too, I suppose there is some speaker on request if that can be switched off. Someone's speaker is on. So I'll go back to what we were talking. So I as a leader, I as an educationist strongly believe that every child has a dream, but only thing is they need to be determined, they need to be channelized, they need to be helped so that they can reach the dream. So if a child is not going in the right path, somewhere down the line, some parents, some teachers, some school, some society did not play the role in identifying the problem at an early age. I will deal with what are the problems that we see so that we can understand, yes, this child is a mental health problem, and therefore it might lead up to serious issues. I will be discussing in my discussion right now. So what I wanted to say is, let us have their eyes and ears open. Instead of blaming the teenage, instead of blaming the adolescents, let us try to understand the issues. Why is he behaving in this manner? And that is where I think we can address mental health, definitely. The quality of the environment where children and adolescents grow up shapes their well-being and development. Early negative experiences at home, you have to accept the fact that negative approaches at home, schools, or digital spaces, which is now we have to be very careful. The whole day the child is with technology, and it is required for them. So we can't take it away, but definitely we need to monitor, because everything is available at the click of the button. So our values taught to the child should be such that the child understands their limitations. So the exposure from very early years, it matters. The exposure to violence, the exposure to mental illness of a parent and other caregiver, the bullying, the poverty, it increases the risk of mental illness, I would say. So mental health conditions such as childhood epilepsy, development of disabilities, the depression that's there around, the anxiety and the behavioral disorders are basically the major cause of illness and mental illness, I would say, amongst the young people. Worldwide, it is seen that 10% of the children and adolescents experiences mental health disorder, but the majority of them do not seek help. I would repeat, the majority of them do not seek help or receive care. That is where the problem starts. Our understanding, our relationship with the adolescents should be such that whatever they do, whatever mistakes they do, they should be able to approach at home the parents, some relatives, some friends, and definitely the school teachers. So here we play a vital role as school heads. We've seen that many children of adolescent stage, they don't want to open up to their parents also. They come up to the school teacher, they come up to the school counselor, they come up to their subject teachers or whoever is comfortable with them. They are with, they come and seek help. My earnest request is, do not take it easily. Address it with seriousness. Here, I'm sure all those who are with us and all those who are watching us, a message from, I could say, from the speaker today, that is myself. Please do not take it casually. Take it serious, because that small incident or statement of that child may be not so important for you, but it might change his life, it might change his destination, it might change his future and his role altogether. So let us understand that this approach, the child being approachable, is very important. So if a child is not approaching me, I need to blame myself, not the child. Why, as a mother, why am I not confident enough that my child can approach me even if he does a mistake? Mistakes every one of us do. We need to learn from our mistakes. So we need to accept a child's mistake also. So rather than penalizing him, rather than reprimanding him or laughing at him as a friends in a friend circle, let us address it seriously. Let us try to understand the child. In fact, half of all mental health conditions starts by age 14. You see, suicide is the third leading cause of death at the age group of 15 and 19-year-old. That's really sad. If we see the statistics, we'll see that there are a lot many children. I'll come to the name of the countries where we have the maximum number of such issues. The consequences of not addressing mental health and psychological development of the children and the adolescent extends to the adulthood and limit opportunities for leading a fulfilling life. So a life which was just blooming with dreams and aspiration just takes a different shape, different size when it comes to some mental issue which is not being addressed by someone who could have done it. So in fact, if I say the prevalence of the mental illness, this number represents, I could say that 20% of all US adults, we see that there is some sort of mental ailment, which may be dangerous, which may not be dangerous, but at the same time, there is some mental issues there. The prevalence of the mental illness was generally higher among females, 24.5% higher than the males, which is just 16.3%. So down the line, we see that it comes to gender sensitivity again. So the exposure and the gender sensitivity also needs to be taken care of. Young adults around aged 18 to 25 years had the highest prevalence of mental ailment, 24.9 as compared to the adults and age groups of a little higher, I would say 26 to 49 years. So these are generally the things that should worry us. It is mental health immediately doesn't start with, all ailment doesn't start with the extremes. So while it is at the budding stage, let us address it. And most common childhood disorders, I would say ADHD, behavior problems, we have anxiety, depression, which are very common mental disorders in children. So once a child is ADHD, instead of, we've seen that many parents have a divorce when the child is diagnosed with ADHD, and that worsens the condition of the child. So our understanding, we have to be magnanimous, we have to have a big heart with huge responsibility if we identify them, because it is not easy, and it is not possible only for the parent to do. The society, the relatives, everyone plays a vital role. We have to see 9.4% of children aged between 2 to 17 have received an ADHD diagnosis. 7.4% of children aged 3 to 17 years have been diagnosed with behavioral problems. So what do we do with them? And therefore, I will not be able to comment on the other boards. But yes, definitely, Indian boards like CBSE, where I'm working for so many years, they have these special children, inclusive education, where such children should be mixing with the normal children so that their mental health can be taken care of, and the mental health of the children who are just like you and me, and mostly common normal ones, we can say that their mental health is also taken care of, because that is the time the child is made to realize how grateful he has to be to his parents, how grateful he has to be to the Almighty, that he's got everything possible, whereas his friend who's sitting next to him, he is not as lucky as he is. So it's a dual understanding and a dual development, I would say. And teenage, we need to understand that teenage has to support each other of their own group. And of course, we, once again, I'll be repeating often that we also as elders need to take care of this. Anxiety disorders are the most common mental health illness. And as for data, I found out that it is the highest in the US, affecting 40 million adults in the United States, aged 18 and older, or maybe 18.1% of the population every year. So that's a big, big worry. We are worried about COVID-19, where so many lives we have lost. Even this is a bigger worry. We can I mean, if we see the statistics, we'll see there are so many children dying of accidents, and it is a worry for us. And therefore, dear friends, I would just like to say, please take care. Before I proceed, Prashanti, let me know if I have to stop, if you have any questions, because I've got so much to say. So
Yeah,
I
I
would want
understand.
you, if there is
Yeah,
any question in between,
Chitraji,
I would, yeah.
yeah, you brought out very important point, like take children seriously. I think as a society, we are not child centric. We are like, because the children, we can take them lightly. But the reality is, no, because they're children, we need to take them seriously. As you said, so many problems can be nipped in the bud. It's just because some adults, they just don't pay attention. When the problem is small, it grows into a huge thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, so true. That is something which is very much required. Like, as I was saying, a small action of a child, when seen, and if it is not addressed, it aggravates. And the child is generally cocooned after that. The child, if the child does not get any positive response from the person whom he feels that he could have approached, then he will never come up to you again, second time. So we need to leave that door open. Yeah, I would wait for your further. Let us make it a little more interactive. I don't want it to be a drab one, me talking. If you have anything to ask, yeah, I'm there. Otherwise, there are certain points which, while giving the answers to a few questions, if you have, I will be trying to give you what are the effects, how do we find out from the beginning, how do we find out that there's a mental health or it's proceeding towards that. I'll come to that. Yeah, I'll wait for you.
So I think not only the schools and teachers, even the parents need to be so aware and vigilant all the time. So what are those aspects in which you feel the parents or any adults who is in contact with children need to be aware, so that they protect them against such mental illnesses or whatever?
Absolutely. First, which again is a boon, every disaster or every crisis gives us something good. And the best thing that we got during this COVID-19 is during the pandemic is the family time, which was actually required. We, in most of the families, we see it's a nuclear family now, both the parents working. Where is the time for the children? By the time the parents come, they have their house chores and they have to prepare for the next day. They themselves are mentally tired, and therefore the children are not given the amount of time what they need. Initially, in the primitive days of like many families, we have, of course, joint families. There are so many other members. The child has got children, siblings to play with, and most of the families have got one or two children, and everyone is so busy. So family time is a must. We have to understand, like I began the conversation, is you yourself will have to take care of your health. And therefore, mental health is again very a discussion which I often take part in. You have to take care of yourself, but at the same time, you have to give, there is no compromise in this. The family will have to give time to their children, and it should be age appropriate. If required, you have to go under the table to play with your child, or else he will wait for that moment with another friend. So while he's small, it's fine, but when he grows up, it may not be. So we have to give them that. If the adolescent child wants to see a movie which is being discussed by his friends, I think it's a parent responsibility to ensure either they give the chance to the child to go to with their parents, or themselves take it. The movie may not be attractive to her at all or them at all, because it's of that standard. They would want more of a fiction. But then if you don't take your child, you are actually opening the door for him to sneak out and go. So these small things, though, planning for a vacation, that is absolutely required. Spending time with animals and nature, the parents will have to undertake or plan for it. Planning vacation, maintaining a proper diet, maintaining a proper routine. These days, every child has got his own room. Is the child going to bed in time? Is the child watching healthy things on the TV or maybe with a laptop. So small things though, monitoring, but that does not mean you start doubting your child. No way, no doubt. But monitoring, being a friend, trying to be understanding and giving him some space, but at the same time having a routine. These are the few things if we follow, I think we can